You may be asking yourself, am I an INFJ or an INFP? Really, the big difference between INFJs and INFPs is how they perceive the world around them and how they come to judgments about their perceptions. To look at those differences, we're going to look at the cognitive functions. The first function of INFPs is introverted feeling. This introverted feeling, also called FI, it has an internal sense about what the subject feels about something, whether it's harmonious or discordant, whether they have a good or bad feeling about it. Whatever facts or external factors that are out in front of the INFP, it doesn't matter so much because all of those things are taking a back seat to how they internally feel about something. This is in contrast to the INFJ, who's using extroverted feeling. Extroverted feeling pays attention to external factors. It looks at other people's emotions, social consensus, or what's socially acceptable, and it's going to make judgments based on these external factors. So it's really paying attention to the thoughts and feelings of others around them. Whereas INFPs, they're using introverted feeling. So they're hyper aware of their own thoughts and feelings. FE is also very reactive and accommodating to the emotions of others. It's also a little bit more open and expressive than FI. So INFJs are going to be a little bit more open and expressive with their emotions and more reactive to the emotions of others around them. INFJs, their dominant function is introverted intuition. When you're explaining something to an INFJ or when they're trying to learn something, they're going to have this inclination to push away all the details of what you're saying or what they're learning about and really dive in to the core idea behind something, the core meaning, what it's really all about. So in their topics of interest, they're going to want to dive deeply into them in order to extract that core idea, that meaning. Consequently, they're only going to be working on a couple projects or a couple topics at a time. This is in contrast to the INFP, who is using extroverted intuition as their second function. NE is taking in all the patterns and connections that are in front of them. Even if they're not relevant to the situation at hand, they'll have an explosion of activity in a topic, just absorbing all the patterns and connections about it. Once the novelty wears off, and once they've worked with it for a good amount of time, they're gonna feel the inclination to find a new topic and open a new can of possibilities. This is different from the INFJs. They're going to want to work on an idea or concept for long term. The third function of INFPs is introverted sensing. SI is able to home in on exactly how a certain sensory experience is like for the subject. For instance, the INFP goes to the coffee shop and has this sensory experience. The SI is able to determine exactly what that sensory experience was like for the INFP. INFPs often reminisce about experiences they've had in the past. And during that reminiscing, they're going to be using a lot of SI. Introverted thinking, TI, is the INFJ's third function. TI has an internal sense of whether something makes sense, whether it's logical or accurate, whether it's consistent or inconsistent. The INFP's fourth function is extroverted thinking. TE looks at external factors and the facts that are laid out in front of it. Because it's the fourth function of the INFP, they're not going to be using it as much as, say, their introverted feeling. But the external factors, the data, the facts, that's still going to affect the judgments of an INFP. Just not nearly as much as that introverted feeling. INFJs, their fourth function is extroverted sensing. Extroverted sensing notices all the details and sensations that are right in front of it. It notices surface appearance, how things look like exactly on the outside. Often, SE entails doing and experiencing. So sometimes INFJs will have this primal need to go out and act on impulse. When you're trying to determine the personality type of yourself or someone else, what you want to ask is, what kind of feeling are they using? What type of intuition are they using? What type of sensing are they using? What type of thinking are they using? And really try to determine what their cognitive functions are, because the cognitive functions really are the meat of what somebody's type is. Let me know, what personality type are you? Are you confused about whether you're INFJ or INFP? If you liked this video, I've got more MBTI videos, and there are definitely going to be more on the way. So subscribe if you want to be notified of those. See you next time.